Do you always feel like you fit in, or do you often feel a bit like weird or different? Okay, so I really want to talk about this, and it's a thing that I think so many of you will relate to. Maybe actually all of you will relate to in one way or another. That horrible little feeling, the feeling like you don't belong. I'll be honest with you, I've always had this feeling for as long as I can remember, and it was actually much stronger, this feeling of not fitting in, when I was a child. In school, I looked at the other kids like they were aliens, or maybe that I was the alien and they were normal humans. Like, I had friends and I had quite a normal experience in school, I would say. I was into like the horses and dancing and collecting bookmarks, just like the other girls. But still, there was always that like nagging feeling of like looking around on the schoolyard or in the classroom and thinking, you know what, I don't belong here. And now as an adult, I've come to think that feeling like you're different is actually the norm. So we're normal if we think that we're not normal. That old paradox, you know what I mean? And I really want to know how, like, out of all of you watching, how many felt as a child or adolescent that you just didn't quite manage to fit in and belong? I mean, we are group animals, we humans, so it's one of the most natural and potent fears of ours to worry we'll get excluded from the pack. Basically, it's such a deep-set human fear that someone will tell us, you can't sit with us. So I mean, no wonder we worry and we fret about this so much, fitting in, since it's like how we have evolved as a species. I mean, for our foremothers, way back when, getting excluded from the group basically meant death. So like, hey, I can understand why we're so preoccupied with popularity and acceptance. And I'm sure all of us get this feeling from time to time. I think some people feel it more occasionally and in certain situations. Like, I know a lot of people feel out of place in a very expensive restaurant with all the different size forks and the stiff waiter and the wine list, but then might feel completely at home in most other situations of their life. Whereas some people feel like they don't belong in almost any situation. And of course, that can affect your sense of self-worth, that kind of thing. I think one of the reasons for me feeling this quite strongly as a child was because we moved quite often and I would start a new school and make new friends now and then. Actually, we didn't move that often, but often enough for me to not go like through all of my school years with people I had known my whole life. This caused me to foster like an identity of being an outsider. Like when I moved to a new school at 14, I even had an accent from another part of Sweden that made me stand out in Stockholm as like the countryside kid, because for Stockholmers, everyone not born in Stockholm is from the countryside, of course. It went all right for me though, because even though I had a lot of insecurities growing up, of course, just like I'm sure you had, I also had like a quiet confidence in my own ability to adapt and make friends, simply because I had done it before and it had worked. Sure, it would sometimes take time to make new friends, and sometimes there would be false starts where I tried becoming friends with the wrong type of people, but yes, sooner or later, it would always work out. I want to give a big thank you to Headspace for sponsoring this video. You know, I always try to be mindful of how I'm feeling, both physically and mentally, but especially this spring. Since this spring, I'm trying to balance my normal everyday work and everything to do with publication day, like looming just around the corner, and also just, you know, the daily stress of life. I'm the overthinking type who easily feels overwhelmed, stressed, or even, you know, flirting with a bit of burnout. I'm not sure what your situation is this spring, but even if you're not having an especially stressful or fully packed calendar, most of us could use a bit of stress management just from, you know, the pressures of juggling everyday life. That's why I've been turning to Headspace, an app designed to make mindfulness and meditation simple, accessible, and easy to fit into any routine. Whether you're new to meditation or have been practicing for a while, Headspace has guided sessions that can help with stress, sleep, focus, or just finding a moment of calm in your day. I love that I can open the app and find exactly what I need, like a quick breathing exercise, or a sleep story to wind down at night, or a meditation to reset my mind in the middle of a busy day. And what I'm learning is, there's no right or wrong way to do it. Just taking a few minutes for yourself can make a huge difference. So why not take a look at Headspace yourself? You can try completely for free for 60 days. Just use my link in the description or scan the QR code to sign up. Do you meditate, or do you use any other tools for calming down or helping with sleep? Let me know what you think, but I can highly recommend giving Headspace a try if you're feeling like some rest and relaxation is probably something you need more of. Thanks again to Headspace for supporting this channel, and now let's get back to the video. And I think the reason I've been really preoccupied with this lately is because it's the main theme of my second novel. I've been working on this book for years now, and the main character is definitely a person who feels like she doesn't fit in, but is dying to change that. And she definitely doesn't have that quiet confidence in her own ability to make friends and to adapt to new situations. She has never had any close friends, and she has always been ostracized and lonely. So I think writing this book, I could relate to her so badly, at the same time as feeling lucky that I was able to go through childhood and adolescence much more confidently than her. Still, I think this character, even though she's much more timid and much more offbeat than I am, and that I'm sure most of you are as well, she's so easy to see yourself in, I think, because we're all to some extent felt that way. Timid, wrong, different, but she's so adamant to make the best out of life and finding people that she likes and that will like her back. You know, from all the people I know who have read an early version of this book, because it's not out yet, it's not out until the 24th of April, more or less all of those people who've read an early version, whether if they're like timid or confident or quiet or loud or normal or eccentric, more or less everyone has said that they can really relate to Sikan, this offbeat, timid, very tender-hearted main character of mine. And I'm absolutely dying to know if you will relate to her as well. Please feel free to pre-order a copy if you haven't yet. It would mean the absolute world to me if you did. I will leave links with worldwide free shipping in the description. Oh man, it's almost here now. Publication day is just around the corner, isn't it? I mean, just talking about it, honestly, I'm getting a bit like pulsy and nervy right now. So soon until it would be like right there in the bookshop for anyone to buy. Can you believe it? You know, I thought it would be like that I would be more cool about it the second time around, like a seasoned author now after like already having published one book before. But turns out that no, I'm just as nervous and excited and giddy about it this time around. Dear God, my poor nerves, like this occupation is really not for the faint of heart. So obviously your kind words about OK Days and your encouragement in general has really meant so much to me. And it makes me feel like there are readers out there who just get it, what I'm trying to do, and who like connects with my work, which is seriously such a strange and fantastic feeling. Anyway, some of the friends that I made back then when I moved to Stockholm at 14 are still my friends today. These are my oldest friends, besides from relatives. I'm not in touch with anyone who knew me before 14. Is that strange? Honestly, I'm not sure if that's a bad thing or a good thing. Maybe it's neither, because obviously it's nice to have roots and like knowing people who had the same type of childhood as you. But on the other hand, I do feel like the more we hang out with our past, the more difficult it is to take control over and shaping our future. Simply because the past is like telling us who we are and what we want, when that in fact might only be who we were and what we wanted, if you know what I mean. But that quiet confidence of mine, thinking that I'd be able to make friends more or less anywhere, that confidence came from exposure, like being put in a situation where I had to make new friends and seeing that I could. I think this is important to remember because often we look at confident people and wonder, how do they do that, right? Of course, it's also down to personality. Some of us are more timid, some more forward, but I think we shouldn't underestimate practice. This is the distinction I want to make here though. There is a difference between feeling confident in a situation and feeling like you fit in. I can feel confident even when I feel like I don't belong. In fact, I'm not so sure anymore that fitting in is such a worthy pursuit. Maybe I want to stop trying that now, belonging, fitting in. Maybe I want to nurture my confidence without trying to adapt and fit in. I'm not sure that makes sense at all, but let me try to explain this like quite strong feeling that I've been having. So when I lived in Sweden up until young adulthood, I told you I never really felt like I fitted in, just like I'm sure many of you have felt that way too. But then choosing to move to London, emigrating and becoming a lifelong immigrant, that of course meant that I chose that in a way never truly fit in. I can speak the language, but I have an accent, and I know about British culture, but I have my Swedish culture affecting my own behaviors every day. Like I don't know the pop culture references or the childhood foods or the Christmas traditions all that well. I have my own Swedish versions of those things. So living here as an immigrant, I don't feel like I fit in. I feel like an outsider because of course I am. But here's what I've come to think. I think that like being an outsider in a new country is a very different thing to being an outsider in the country you were born. Because here, I'm not supposed to completely fit in. There's a reason why I speak and think and behave a bit differently. But in Sweden though, I don't have those reasons. Like, there's no reason why I shouldn't speak and think and behave like other Swedes. So by becoming an immigrant, it's kind of like I've chosen outsiderdom for life. Like not only accepting it, but appreciating it. I quite like feeling like the outsider. It's an exciting way to live, to refuse to conform to societal norms too much. I think that by becoming an immigrant and choosing outsiderdom, it has freed me up. Like it makes me feel like I get to choose my own life, and other people's opinion about all that, like it matters almost nothing. And I'm grateful to my childhood, to like moving a bit more than normal and getting that quiet confidence in myself, that even though I'm an outsider, I will always be able to make friends. It might take a little time, but it will work out if I just keep making an effort. It was a tough time for me though when we moved back to London after our 3 years in Berlin, because most of our old London friends had moved away from the city and we came back just a year before COVID. So it has taken us much longer than usual to build up a friendship circle this time around. And it did beat up that quiet confidence of mine, because it took so much longer than it had ever done for me before to meet people who I like and who like me back. But for the last few years now, I've started feeling like really connected here. My friendship circle is a fine mix of British people and immigrants, and everyone is creative and smart and impressive in their own way. So yes, I have to say, even though I will never completely fit in here, I will always be an outsider. Even so, I have to say that yes, I do finally, after all these years, feel like I belong. Because it turns out, for me anyway, fitting in is not the same thing as belonging. But okay, these are just my thoughts. I am dying to hear your take on all this, and I'm also so curious. Do you all feel the same, that feeling of sometimes not fitting in? Or is there a person out there watching right now who just simply can't relate and have always felt right at home and like they belong? I'm very curious to hear all of your stories of fitting in or not fitting in, and if you feel like spending a spring in Stockholm following my best girl Sickan's adventure, trying her best to fit in and make a life for herself, please do pre-order a copy of What a Time to Be Alive. It would help me so much, and just make me so happy if you did. Honestly, you guys supporting my writing is one of the best things that has come out of this whole thing, me sitting down to make videos every week. I will leave links with worldwide free shipping in the description. And I think that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, because I sure enjoyed talking about all this with you. Feel free to give me a like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and thank you so much for watching and for being so lovely. Okay, see you in the comments, and bye for now.